In today's video, we are going over the ultimate Duo and Harmonic tier list. I'll be ranking all 44 Duo and Harmonic heroes from SSS all the way down to D. I'll be considering the overall power of the hero themselves, their Duo or Harmonic skill, the roles they can fulfill, and of course the performance in all the different game modes. All the heroes in the same tier are around the same power level and are not necessarily ordered from best to worst, as some heroes will excel in different situations compared to others. With that said, let's get started with D tier. D tier is composed of Duo and Harmonic heroes who are old and desperately need refines. These heroes do not excel in any game mode when compared to other heroes and have a ton of weaknesses. The good thing is all these heroes will get refines eventually. First off is who I consider the worst Harmonic hero in the game, Pirate Veronica. Veronica just has nothing going for her. Her weapon essentially just gives plus 5 attack, defense, and resistance with a guaranteed follow-up attack. An extremely underwhelming weapon, and speaking of underwhelming, her Harmonic skill just gives resonance shields, which isn't much to write home about. Unfortunately, Harmonic Tiki isn't much better off. She does have one of the most powerful Harmonic skills in Harmonic Dance, but as a unit herself, she is very lacking. Her weapon doesn't offer enough firepower for her to bust through any bulky meta units, and her Preference C skill is extremely outdated. Our very first Harmonic hero, Mia, is gonna end up in D tier also. Honestly, her weapon isn't bad, it grants her some additional stats, alongside a lot of damage reduction, which means she can survive combats, but she doesn't have offensive no follow, doesn't do much damage, and doesn't have an easy access to lethality due to being a calf. But the most damning thing has to be her Harmonic Blade skill. It's literally just Resonance Blades, and that's it, which is really bad. Hopefully she gets a good refine in the future though. Our final hero in D tier is going to be my boy Duo Alm. Unfortunately, Alm is just old. As a unit who desperately wants the speed stack, he is just miles behind because of his weapon. The lack of slaying also makes it difficult to run the best specials like Battle Astra or Godlike Reflexes. His own preference special isn't great also because it's not the remixed version. And lastly, his duo skill is good, but it's not broken by any means. It's not a game changer like so many other duo skills can be. Looking forward to his refine and hopefully being able to put him in a higher tier next time, as I do love Alm. Let's move on to C tier. C tier is composed of some of my favorite duo heroes. Two of these heroes have amazing duo skills, but unfortunately that's all they really have, while Sothis, well, she's Sothis. Unfortunately, Duo Sothis is in a position where she would really love if her duo skill was just built into her base kit. She essentially wants no follow-up all the time, so having to rely on her duo skill to give her no follow-up and a time pulse effect is just brutal. This keeps Sothis from really standing out as an Omni tank, especially when you consider her weakness to bows as well. Duo Mikaya's duo skill dominance was one of the first duo skills that seemingly broke the game. It was absolutely ridiculous and it helped to shift the meta towards duo heroes and duo's hindrance on Aether Raid's defense. But in today's metagame, you just don't get to use that duo skill in AR very often. And as a unit, Mikaya just doesn't offer enough. Her weapon doesn't have a guaranteed follow-up attack or slaying, which really holds her back from being able to secure kills. On the other hand, we have Duo Alphonse, who also has a great duo skill that can allow for some great special charging and can still help with some high special strategies like AoE teams. But his weapon is also not great. Unfortunately, the lack of a guaranteed follow-up attack is just really bad nowadays for a unit this slow. And he's not bulky enough to work as a tank either. He can still pack quite the punch with Special Spiral 4, but personally I can't wait till he gets his refine in a month or two and can skyrocket up the tier list. Now B tier is where we have some really solid heroes. These heroes can be quite good with the right amount of investment and the proper build, but they still don't match up with the best units in the game who can do their role better than them. First up is Harmonic Mer, who has some good things going for her, like her built-in 40% damage reduction with no stat check, but she also has major weaknesses like no IELTS shield in her base kit, no guaranteed follow-up attack, and no follow-up denial. Now her bow weakness is supposed to be fixed by her duo skill, but realistically that is trash. You will have that denied in 99% of Aether Raid's maps, and it's unrealistic in some rerules. The other problem can be somewhat fixed by a proper build like I'm showing now, but you'd much rather be doubling down on her strengths by running Dragon Wall than fixing problems by running Dragon's Ire. Overall, this makes Mer a good hero, but definitely nowhere near the best. Now Duo Pala is an interesting hero. She can be really strong with the proper build and on a flyer team, where she can capitalize on getting brave attacks. But even so, she doesn't stand out in any game mode. Her lack of slaying or special acceleration means it's difficult to make her an amazing Gale Forcer, and while her duo skill is nice and reusable, it's not nearly as powerful as many other duo skills. Hala is a fun flyer, but she just doesn't stand up to the extremely high standards the meta has nowadays. Duo Athun is in a similar situation to Duo Mer, where she can be a powerful save tank, but unfortunately her ability to nullify her dragon and armor weakness are tied to her duo skill, which is realistically not going to work in most situations. This holds her back, especially when compared to the meta save tanks. Pirate Hinoka is a fantastic unit, but she is very niche. Because of her weapon's conditions, she only gets the Brave effect against blue foes, which was amazing when the meta was dominated by Brave Hector and Thune, but now the meta has all kinds of amazing save tanks like Duma and Mortis, which has drastically lowered Hinoka's value in the current meta. She does have a unique duo skill though that can be very powerful with proper planning. Duo Hilda is also a very niche hero. Her weapon does offer some nice support, but it isn't a full breath effect, which really holds it back from its full potential. When it comes to her duo skill, it can be an amazing effect in summoner duels where it can completely screw over your opponent, but that's about it. Duo Hector just got refined, and with it he can now do more than just be a mobile bolt tower. His weapon does offer some nice damage reduction, and he can work quite well as a near save unit. The truth is though, that Hector would probably be better off running the arcane sword, and unfortunately his duo skill didn't get updated with his refine. If it could be used more than once per map, or the area was changed at Rose as well, I think he could be much higher on this list. The final duo hero in B tier is going to be Byleth. Byleth is a solid flying mage with a good weapon that grants no follow-up, stats, and even slaying. This allows Byleth to safely engage on foes with either wind sweep or water sweep and easily prop rupture the sky, dealing some decent damage. When it comes to her duo skill, reusable desperation isn't amazing, but it's not bad either. Byleth definitely isn't the threat she once was, but I do think she has a solid foundation, and when she gets her refine, she'll probably be scary once again. Okay, let's move on to A tier. A tier is full of heroes who are quite strong in the right situation or the right game mode. These heroes can be amazing, but their uses are a bit restrictive. Our first Harmonic is going to be Sheeta, who can be a fantastic Gale Force unit, because she's one of the few heroes who can count for 3 actions effectively. Many of the other heroes with Harmonic Dance cannot Gale Force themselves, which does hold them back. Now not everything is perfect about Sheeta though. She doesn't have slaying, which can be resolved with Asker or Duochrome, but she also doesn't have special acceleration, which means you might be stuck with a heavy blade check. She's also quite fragile, so sometimes she just dies to counterattacks. So like I said, amazing in the right situation, but you have to jump through some hoops. Our long forgotten duo heroes, Erica, can be a powerful God Sword unit. This is largely due to her true damage and her ability to heal herself up. With the right build, she can be super annoying to deal with. Unfortunately, Red Sword Infantry is just the most competitive weapon movement combo in the game, so you really need some insane effects to stand out, and her duo skill doesn't really help much. Giving out dodge to herself and her allies is cool, but it's not really amazing, and it doesn't offer much value in most game modes. Duo Sigurd was our first 3-movement dancer, which made him ridiculously good, and even now 3-movement dancers are extremely nice for hit and run and Gale Force strategies, or even in summoner duels. Sigurd's biggest problem is there's a lot of competition now, and his weapon and duo skill don't make him stand out very much. Personally though, I love using his duo skill in Aetheryte still, but it's absolutely not as powerful as what other dancers can bring. Harmonic Leaf is up next, which hurts my heart. He is easily one of the most fun heroes in the entire game, with his ranged Gale Force and built-in Miracle effect. But unfortunately the meta has made him way less effective. There are just way too many far saves, and with the popularity of Hardy Fighter, Leaf just misses a ton of kills. Now in the situation that there isn't a far save, Leaf can tear apart defenses and be one of the very best Gale Force initiators in the game. So overall, we have very mixed results for Leaf, which means he's gonna end up in A tier. Duo Lif was the hero to help destroy the God Sword meta, and even until this day, he can be quite the annoyance with his high power, damage reduction halving, and Fatal Smoke shutting off healing. But just like Leaf before him, Hardy Fighter has made it difficult for Duo Lif to secure kills, which has lowered his value quite a bit. Also, his duo skill is very interesting. It's not a duo skill you'll be using very often, and obviously offers no value in Aetheryte's defense, which is his best game mode. Duo Marth is one of the few duos with a refine, and his refine actually transformed him into a very unique and powerful Farsaver. He essentially has a speed preempt built into his weapon, but also with a desperation effect that allows him to double his enemies before they can even counterattack. This allows Marth to be a deadly Farsaver against squishier opponents. The problem with Marth is that 1, he can be outsped, especially with the amount of speed power creep we're having nowadays, and secondly, Marth can also just miss kills against more bulky enemies, which in most situations leads him to getting smashed in the face with a special. I honestly think he's one of the cooler duos we have, but I wouldn't put him as a top tier Farsave. Duo Ephraim got the longest weapon description ever with his refine, and luckily it was pretty solid. Duo Ephraim has become a very mobile threat, and with the help of Odd Tempest, he can have 3 movement all the time, and Kanto lets him retreat. When you combine that with armor and kind of effectiveness, you have a unit that hands out a beating. Unfortunately, his duo skill isn't anything to write home about, and doesn't offer much of value. The other problem is that Emblem has middling speed, which means you'll need to invest into it if you don't want his guaranteed follow-up attacks getting shut down, and also the lack of slaying can hold him back from making the best use of strong specials. The final hero in A tier is going to be my girl, Harmonic Altina. Unfortunately, Harmonic Altina didn't get the remixes that base Altina did, which means she is lacking in some departments like true damage and damage reduction. Even so, Winter Altina is an infantry unit, which means she has access to a lot of the most powerful skills in the game. And she also has an amazing preference weapon and twin blades, which lets her slice through damage reduction. This makes Altina a fantastic sweeper in the right situations, but in all honesty, her duo skill can be a bit underwhelming, and a lot of times she's just better off running Vantage in her B slot. Okay, S tier is full of heroes who are great in multiple game modes and offer a ton of damage or invaluable support. After years of waiting, a good Roy finally arrived. Harmonic Roy is a powerful axe cav that has two powerful sources of damage. First, his effectiveness against beasts and dragons, two unit types that are excelling in the current meta, and two, his duo skill that can offer the powerful treachery effect that grants up to 24 true damage. Roy's weapon and preference C skill also gives him a lot of flexibility with a built-in Canto 2 and tempo, which cavs don't typically have access to. This allows Roy to fulfill all kinds of roles like a Gale Forcer or even a Tank Buster. Our newest ninja duo, Legyarn, can be quite powerful. Just like her predecessors, she has a brave weapon that allows her to put out some lethal damage. And like Ninja Lin, she also has cooldown reduction, meaning she can proc a 2 cooldown special on her second hit. She also has arguably one of the best duo skills in the game with Duo Gale Force, that grants her another action. What holds Legyarn back in my opinion is that she isn't a dagger unit, which means no disarm trap, and she's a flyer, which means she only has 2 movement. This severely reduces her effectiveness in Aether Raid's offense as a Gale Force initiator or a hit and run unit. Don't get me wrong, she is a powerful nuke, especially with her high res letting her get past the plethora of res checks in today's meta, but even so I find her less powerful than her contemporaries. Brave Mage Cavs have been a powerful force in Fae since the introduction of Reinhardt, and Winter Lysithea is no different. After all, she has a pseudo-brave tome with slaying and full might, allowing her to punch through a ton of tanks. Now unfortunately, her duo bonus doubler is good, but not amazing, and also the meta hasn't been the nicest to her. After all, due to her and Duo Corrin's power, the meta shifted towards the Deflect Magic Seal, which drastically lowered her ability to tank bust. At the moment, I think her best game mode is still Aether Raid's defense, and I don't see that changing unless the meta has a big shift. Speaking of calves, up next is Duo Nina, a duo hero that can offer a ton of power, but most importantly, has one of the most ridiculous Canto effects in the game in the form of Canto Recall, essentially allowing her to run, kill an enemy, and then warp back to her starting position. When you combine that with her duo skill, you have a 4 movement range cav with adaptive true damage. The thing is, Nina struggles because she doesn't have an offensive no follow-up, Party Fighter exists, and so does Canto Control, which completely shuts her down. This keeps Nina in her lane and only really allows her to excel in the correct circumstances. Now, this is the one placement I am uncertain about. Duo Elise just came out and I don't have her yet, so I haven't had the chance to get a hands-on feel for her. This is where I think she will end up, as I do think she will be an excellent Aether Raid's defense unit, but I could be wrong and she is actually much better than I thought and possibly goes up to double S rank. My boy Duo Ike is a powerful god sword hero who has easy access to big specials like Radiant Aether. It can be an excellent frontline unit in summoner duels, or can even tank in Aether Raids. Now I'm going to be honest as possible, Duo Ike's real claim to fame is his duo skill. The ability to decharge specials and cripple an enemy team with guard and debuffs is really good in the current meta that is dominated by AoE specials and big specials. That being said, if you want to get the best use of Duo Ike, you're going to need to invest into him, because speed is the deciding factor on just how good he can be. Hadian Lind is a very versatile and powerful harmonic hero. She offers some ridiculously good support in no follow-up and the ability to ignore passable terrain. This allows for calves to be ridiculously mobile on certain maps and game modes like summoner duels. As a unit herself, Lind can pack quite a punch and can even get through some damage reduction. Her duo skill isn't ridiculously good, but it is nice in certain situations. Overall, Lind proves to be a solid nuke support, but is mostly a summoner duels unit. Now I know I'm going to make people a bit mad with this one, but I consider Harmonic Dorothea the second worst of the 4 dancers. Now don't get me wrong, that is still really good, but the support she offers just isn't as powerful as the 2 dancers above her. The Omni Chill in her weapon can be quite nice, but let's be real, the reason she is this high is because she's a dancer that can dance twice, and she's from 3 houses, so the units she can dance are very good. My final hero in S tier is going to be Harmonic Tana. Now I know there will be at least one comment from a FadeTuber friend saying she deserves higher, but for me, Tana does not pack quite the punch of some other tank busters. That's not to say she doesn't hit hard. The free 20% attack against non-red heroes is massive, and it allows her to use Heavy Blade very well. But for me, her main claim to fame is 1,000,000% her Canto 1 support. It allows for the entire team to be mobile and some amazing openers in some of her duels. Also, she has Harmonic Dance, which is a fantastic duo skill. SS heroes are some of the best heroes in the entire game. They are ridiculously powerful and dominate the game modes they are used in. Each of these heroes are some of the most powerful heroes in their respective roles. First up is Duo Lin, our first ninja duo to break the game. Who knew that Brave Dagger with Slaying would be really good, especially when you give out a duo skill that is essentially a free Gale Force. Lin definitely isn't the powerhouse she once was, but she is still a monster that is excellent in Aether Raid's offense, either as a Gale Force initiator or a Gale Force cleanup unit. The ability to disarm traps is invaluable, even with the inclusion of the Hex Trap, and having a ranged Gale Force allows for all kinds of unique plays. Following up the first duo ninja is the second with Duo Corrin. Corrin is very similar to Duo Lin with the exact same duo skill and even fulfilling similar roles such as a Gale Force initiator or cleanup. But she does have some major differences, such as being a cavalry unit, meaning she has an easier time running across the map, and also being a mage, which means she targets resistance, and she also gets a handful of true damage as well. The major thing that holds Duo Corrin back is she was just too good, and the meta adapted with the Deflect Magic seal, meaning her ability to kill has effectively dropped. Harmonic Sonya is a complete terror in summoner duels. Her massive warp range means that Sonya can threaten a large portion of the map while being completely safe at the back line. She also gets extra power for using big specials, which is perfect because she is built to AoE. And when you take all of that and add in a Harmonic Pulse skill that affects Awakening and Echoes heroes, you have an annoying hero to deal with. After all, many of the meta heroes come from those two games. Sonya has proven to be a staple in summoner duels, and I don't think she'll be going anywhere anytime soon. Here is our second best dancer in my opinion, Duo Peony. What makes Duo Peony really stand out is two things. One, she is a massive attack steroid. With the build I'm currently showing, she can give out 11 attack to allies in cardinal directions, and it can go even higher when you consider she can give a visible attack buff from her dance and run drive attack in her seal slot. The second thing is, of course, her duo dance skill that lets her dance any hero in the entire game. While the range is only one space, it's still extremely powerful and makes Duo Peony amazing in a lot of game modes, especially on Gale Force teams. But if there's a dancer I consider better, it has to be Harmonic Azura. First of all, Azura is a 3 movement dancer with a preference dance that grants 3 movement. That alone makes her ridiculous, but it gets more crazy when you consider she also buffs all stats to +6, and it gets even more dumber when you consider she has a Harmonic Dance. Harmonic Azura, in my opinion, is the best support dancer in the game. She just offers pretty much everything you could want, and more. And because of that, she is good in every single game mode. Duo Duma is one of the premier far save heroes in the entire game. He has a weapon that removes one of the save unit's biggest weaknesses, Deadeye and Lethality, due to its decharging ability. He has a preference save skill that also offers damage reduction alongside some nice chip damage. And he also has a duo skill that's extremely strong in summoner duels, as it can heal up the entire team, cleanse any penalty, and also offer a dull all effect. The only reason Duma doesn't go up higher is that he can struggle to kill in game modes like Aether Raid's offense. In my opinion, he is by far the best in summoner duels, but also good in Aether Raid's defense. The first duo hero to dominate in summoner duels was Duo Dagger. This unit is just ridiculously good. She's amazing in combat. She offers Pathfinder that is blessable, but most infamously, she has one of the most ridiculous duo skills to ever exist. She gives Pathfinder to everyone within 5 columns and rows, and +6 to all stats. This transforms your team into a Congo line of death and allows for some of the most ridiculously aggressive strategies to ever exist. This hero is top tier in summoner duels, Aether Raid's defense, and arena. The only thing keeping her from the highest tier is the existence of one other duo hero who does act as a counter to her duo skill. The final hero in double S tier is Duo Asker. And I'll be honest, I went back and forth between putting him in double S tier or triple S tier. This hero offers a ridiculous amount of power and support alongside being an amazing tank and a solid nuke. His power offers flat damage reduction and protection from AoEs, while his preference skill Open Domain grants AoEs times pulse, resonance blades, and resonance shields. Yeah, you remember Duo Mia and Duo Veronica's harmonic skills? His C skill gives them out for free, every turn. And finally, his duo skill reduces cooldown and +6 to all stats. Duo Asker is just one of the best supports in the entire game. The only reason I don't have Asker in triple S tier is that he isn't used in every single game mode. He isn't the best in Ether Raid's offense, and the reason for that is very simple: he can't Gale Force himself. But honestly, other than that, he is really damn good. We have finally reached the highest tier of Duo and Harmonic Heroes in the entire game. These heroes are the best heroes in the game. They are meta-defining and are usable in every single game mode. These are the heroes you worry about and the heroes you plan teams around. Many of these heroes are the best in their respective roles in the entire game. First up is Winter Cordelia. Let's be honest, she's just a side grade to Bridal Catcher. But guess what? Bridal Catcher is one of the best heroes in the entire game, so that's really good. With that said, she does have some major differences from Bridal Catcher. First of all, her version of Triangle Attack, Dual Strike, requires an adjacent ally instead of 2 allies within 2 spaces, which is better in strategies like Gale Force, but is definitely worse in game modes like Summoner Duels. Speaking of Gale Force, Cordelia is easily one of the best Gale Force units. Not only because she's amazing at Gale Forcing herself, but she also makes it easier for everyone else to Gale Force as well. And when it comes to her Harmonic skill, it is quite strong. It's another version of Harmonic Treachery, which allows Awakening and Fates characters to have a nice chunk of true damage. If there is a boogeyman in Summoner Duels, it has to be Duo Thor. She is just the ultimate package of denial and support effects combined with a ridiculously good nuke. This hero offers stall, shutting down high mobility threats, exposure, offering a ton of true damage, World Breaker, offering special acceleration, a duo skill that removes all bonuses like Triangle Attack, like Pathfinder, and inflicts gravity on foes in cardinal directions. She even charges up her special every turn, meaning she has access to big specials like AoEs. This hero is just a full package. She is good in every single game mode and is top tier in all of them. I'm sure none of you are surprised, but Summer, Edelgard, and Altina are easily SSS Tier. This hero is the best Gale Forcer in the entire game, hands down. She gets up to 3 actions per turn, has a powerful Brave weapon with full might, Assault Troop gives her better mobility than most heroes in the game as an armor unit, and she's even able to flex and be an excellent save hero as well. I'm sure you've heard me rant about this hero before. The only possible negative thing I can really say about her is that her Harmonic skill is only good and not broken. Let's talk about one of the best, if not the best support in the entire game, Bridal Catcher. Bridal Catcher became the Ether Raid's defense meta-defining unit, and even after they released a direct counter with Elamine, she still wouldn't die. This hero just offers a ton of power with Triangle Attack, which grants a Brave attack, and a ton of mobility with the formation buff she hands out. This hero is also amazing in Summoner Duels, where I would argue she is even better than Cordelia. This hero is almost 2 years old now, and somehow she's still on top of the meta. And our final hero in SSS Tier has to be Duo Chrom. What can I say that I already haven't? He is the dominant hero in every game mode. He's a top tier armor buster, he's a top tier support with a cooldown reducing reposition that grants himself another action. He has easy access to one of the most powerful specials in the game, Deadeye, and lastly his duo skill is solid as it can flip penalties into a positive. Duo Chrom is the face of the meta. Well, at least until Legendary Chrom gets its remix that makes To Change Fate, instantly charged specials, and gives out dominance. That's gonna be rough to deal with. Well, there is my Duo and Harmonic tier list. All 44 heroes ranked from SSS to D. Now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of my rankings? What heroes would you move up or down a tier? And which Duo or Harmonic hero is your favorite? Make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe. This has been Oblivion. Catch y'all later.